What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to CLEO's Network. Today we're looking at 10 new deck lists from Japan with the Battle Region and the Darkrai VSTAR, Lucario VSTAR decks out there. They are now playing with those cards in tournaments and we're getting results. Shout out to hohonews.com and also PokeCardLab.com. That's where I got these tournament results and deck lists from. And yeah, let's get into this video. I'm excited to look at some new cards like the Samurott VSTAR, the Decidueye V decks, including Roxanne, the new supporter card, into it, so should be a good time. Before we get into it, shout out to my sponsors, PotownStore.com, the best place to get PTCGO codes, and CardCheaperGames.com, where you can buy physical Pokemon TCG product. Use code CLEO for 5% off at both of those sites. You can view and share your deck lists at PokemonCard.io. Links to my page on there is in the description down below. And also check out Beast Coast Pokemon, the brand new YouTube channel I am a part of. And we have a series called History of the Pokemon Trading Card Game over there. I highly suggest you check that out. We're playing with all of the decks from all of the sets from the entire history of the Pokemon Trading Card Game. So if you're a fan of the game and the franchise, you should enjoy that series. Now let's get into some new decks featuring cards from Battle Region and the associated promo cards. First here, we're looking at Darkrai VSTAR, and Darkrai VSTAR is definitely going to be a fan favorite. Not only is Darkrai cool, not only has Darkrai had many successful cards in the past, but this new Darkrai VSTAR is also very good. The new Darkrai VSTAR is 270 HP, and it has one attack, Dark Pulse. For colorless, it does 30 plus damage, and this attack does 30 more damage for each dark energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So if you have, let's say, 6 dark energy on the board, 2 on Darkrai, 4 on others, you'll be doing 210, 240 with a belt, but you can get up to some really high numbers with this because of all the tools that you have available. You have the Baby Galarian Moltres, you have Galarian Moltres V, you have Dark Patches, you have Experience Share, and then you have Choice Belt to bump it up by another 30, and then you have the ability Star Abyss, the V-Star power on Darkrai V-Star, that reads, during your turn, you may search your discard pile for up to 2 item cards and put them into your hand. So if you use all 4 of your dark patches to attach dark energy from the discard to your dark Pokemon, you could then get 2 more back and then use with Star Abyss and then use those again and get even more energy. So the deck here is playing 13 energy, and it's a really simple aggressive deck that reminds me of the Turbo Dark decks from standard format back in the 2016-2017 format. Next we have Hisuian, I was about to say Galarian, Hisuian Samurott VSTAR paired with the Inteleon engine, and we also have the new Radiant Hawlucha in here. They are going to be called Radiant cards in America. They are called Sparkling cards in Japan. You can't have more than 1 Radiant Pokemon in your deck. And Hawlucha has the ability Big Match. If this Pokemon is on your bench, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon VMAX. So this is a huge buff for decks that want to take down VMAXs. Not only do we have Choice Belt, but now we also have the Radiant Hawlucha. So I think that's really sick. And then, of course, Hisuian Samurott is the main attraction of this deck. Hisuian Samurott VSTAR has 1 attack and 1 VSTAR power, which is an ability. The attack, Merciless Blade, does 110 damage, and if your opponent's active already has damage counters on it, it does 110 more, totaling for 220, 250 with a Choice Belt, 280 with a Choice Belt if hitting into a VMAX. And then the ability Moon Cutting Star, you may put 4 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. The 4 damage counters can be really huge. Like I said, 280 for that attack if you have a Choice Belt and you have Hawlucha, and then 4 damage counters. That's 320 against a VMAX Pokemon, so you can take a one-shot pretty easily. I think I would like to see Fan of Waves make it into this list just to get the Fusion Strike energy off of Mew VMAX, because if you can't put a damage counter on Mew VMAX, you're actually not taking a knockout on it with Merciless Blade if it doesn't already have damage counters on it. Although you can use your Hisuian Samurott V as an attacker there, but that's probably going to mean you want to you already have 2 dark patches and a Raihan, so you can actually use that Hisuian Samurott V as an attacker versus Mew. it does 180 for 3 and then discard an energy. So if it's not playing Fan of Waves, maybe you just use your basic V as the strategy versus Mew VMAX, unless they don't have Fusion Strike energy on them, or if you can get the damage counters down before they have Fusion Strike energy, and then you're just fine. Next, we have a straight Arceus or Arceus Inteleon build with the new Hisuian Decidueye V. Now, looking at a lot of lists, I'm seeing Hisuian Decidueye V and one fighting energy tossed into a lot of lists from the Japanese results. So let's review what Decidueye even does to see why this might be. Decidueye is a fighting type Pokemon. It's a V basic, 220 HP, weak to Psychic. The first attack, Mountain Hunt, for 1 fighting, reads search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So you can search for any 2 cards using this as early as turn 1 going second. And then Point Blank Shot, fighting colorless, does 100, and this attack's damage isn't affected by effects on the defending Pokemon. So with a choice belt, the Point Blank Shot would do 260 to something that is weak to fighting. Now, the Point Blank Shot, I've found rulings based on similar effects. Point Blank Shot will not go through a Dunsparce stopping weakness from your opponent's Arceus. So even if they have Dunsparce out, Point Blank Shot does not go through that. Arceus's weakness still is not there, and Point Blank Shot will not hit it for weakness. But if you can get rid of their Dunsparce, you'll be hitting their Arceus's for weakness, which is great. So I'm a little confused on why Hisuian Decidueye V is being so popularly played over in Japan, so I definitely wanted to point that out. Also, let's note that the attack only does 80 if it's using a double turbo energy, and then with a choice belt, it's only doing 220 to things that are weak to it if it has double turbo energy on. So I'm not exactly impressed by the inclusion of Hisuian Decidueye V here. And I also cannot tell if one of the supporter cards behind what looks to be a stadium card down there next to Sobble, I can't tell if that is one of the new inclusions of Roxanne, but we will see other lists here today with Roxanne in them. I do think Roxanne will be a card that makes it into this kind of Arceus Inteleon deck. Next, we have Rapid Strike Urshifu with the new Hisuian Samurott. And, of course, again, 1 Hisuian Decidueye V and 1 Galarian Moltres V. So, and then, of course, we got the Inteleon line going on. We see one of those new Roxanne here, a very good supporter card that's quite interesting. Roxanne reads, you can only play this if your opponent has 3 or less prize cards left. Both players shuffle their hands into their decks. You draw 6 and your opponent draws 2. It's better than a Marnie after your opponent has already taken prizes. It's kind of similar to Ace Trainer and similar to N. I really wish we would have just gotten an N reprint, but this will do for now. You won't play a ton of it in your deck, but it's nice to have as a 1 or 2 of when you can just search out supporter cards. And here we have an Arceus Birds box, or an Arceus plus Tex. It's really not just the birds. We also have Hoopa, we also have Serena, Zamazenta V. And again, that Hisuian Decidueye. I guess they just want to search for any 2 cards with a fighting energy and not have to pop Starbirth. I'm really not sure, but I'm seeing it included in so many lists. So we'll get to the bottom of if it's actually good, why is it being played, things like that. Another new card we'll see in this list is the Diancie. You might notice it down there next to the Pumpkaboo. Diancie has the ability Princess Curtain. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, whenever your opponent plays a supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to your benched basic Pokemon. So basically, you go first and bench Arceus and attach to it, and put the Diancie out into the active, and your opponent can't boss up your Arceus, or your Galarian Moltres, or whatever it is that you don't want them to hit. Typically, it's going to be an Arceus you don't want them to hit. So you can just go ahead and leave that Diancie out in the front, and bench something else so Escape Rope can't get you, and then you're good to go. So it'll be interesting to see if this Diancie is effective, and if it is played popularly and to success. Here we have a Zoroark Stage 1's box, going a little heavy into the Wormadam. You'll see there's 3 Burmese, 1 Grass Wormadam, 2 Fighting Wormadam, and 1 Metal Wormadam. With the Lipards and Chinchino split as well. Not really sure why they split the Lipards and Chinchino. I would just go for Chinchino, especially because the Lipards can't be searched with Level Ball, and they both do the same thing to my knowledge. Yeah, they both do the same thing. It's discard a card, draw 2. So I don't know why there's a split of those cards. The new Wordier, it allows you to draw a card once a turn, and it also has an attack. Extra sensory for 2 colorless, it does 40, and if you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, it does 80 more, so it does 120, and it's a psychic Pokemon, so I guess you could hit psychic weakness, but it also just has that ability. It says once a turn, draw a card, so that might be why it's included. We've got the Holucha to help us do extra damage to VMAXs. Golisopod does 30 plus 50 for each V on your opponent's board. And the new Mightyena. The new Mightyena says that its attacks are free if your opponent has any Pokemon VMAX in play. And Wild Tackle does 160 damage. So you get to knock out a Mew VMAX if your opponent has a Mew VMAX in play. If they have an Oricorio, you will need a Choice Belt to get there. But pretty amazing card against Mew VMAX. There's also the Hisuian Basculin that has a free attack, Schooling. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and play them to your bench, and then shuffle your deck. This is a really great starter. If you go second, just for free, search your deck for any 2 basic Pokemon, put them to your bench. That's so good, because you don't have to attach an energy to it, and you get any 2 basic Pokemon to your bench, and then you could just start evolving them next turn. I really like that. I think this is a really good card that will actually see play. Like, Alolan Vulpix back in the day had Beacon for free, search your deck for 2 Pokemon. This is really similar, except it puts them right to your bench, so it has different advantages and disadvantages, but I think it's a good card. Next, we've got Lucario VSTAR paired with Umbreon VMAX. So the Lucario VSTAR has 2 attacks. One of them is a VSTAR power attack. The first one is Fighting Knuckle for fighting colorless. It does 120, but if the defending Pokemon's a V, it does 240 instead. So that's a nice chunk of damage. 220 if you have a double turbo attached. And then the V-Star power is an attack called R-Star for fighting colorless. It does 70 times the number of energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. That's also pretty good. And it's fighting type, so it's hitting Darkrai for weakness. It's hitting Arceus for weakness. There's 4 of the new Gutsy Pickaxe in here that allows you to look at the top card of your deck. If it's a fighting energy, attach it to a fighting Pokemon. If not, you draw it. And 2 Piers in there, but no other new cards. This could potentially run Holucha as well for VMAX matchups. Here we have Arceus VSTAR with Ice Rider VMAX with the new Holucha added, and also the new Roxanne card added, 2 cards we've already talked about. Nothing too special happening in this one, just wanted to show an updated list with a couple of new cards being splashed in for pre-existing archetype. Here we have another Hisuian Samurott VSTAR deck, this one with a 3/3 line of Galarian Weezing, my good old buddy Galarian Weezer. I love me some G-Weezy. It looks like there may be a Roxanne in this deck right behind the Raihan. Sometimes they don't lay their deck lists out the nicest in these tournament result pictures, but I'm grateful for the images and the resources that we do get out of it. So yeah, these videos aren't necessarily saying, you know, net deck this exact 60, use your creativity, you know, use these as influences, but we've got the Galarian Weezing line, we've got the Bibarel line, some basic support Pokemon, and then of course the 3/3 Hisuian Samurott VSTAR, which are going to be the main theme of the deck. And lastly, we're ending it with one more Darkrai VSTAR deck. We've got Arceus VSTAR in here as well. Galarian Moltres, Hoopa V, Galarian Moltres, Non-V. The Greninja that allows you to discard an energy from your hand to draw a card once a turn. So once a turn, discard an energy, then draw 2 cards. So this can help get energy in the discard to then Dark Patch. And you have 2 options for your VSTAR power here as well. You can either use Starbirth or you can use Darkrai's Abyss power to get back to item cards. So that's all for today. I do hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know which of these decks you like the most, which one you're most excited to start trying out the most. I know we just got Brilliant Stars, but sets are moving fast. They move even faster in Japan, so I was eager to share these with you guys. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.